Ex wants me to put half my inheritance in a trust for our kid. But she's not doing the same. We have a 28-month-old daughter. I inherited roughly $90,000 3 years ago. Invested it and spent a chunk on bills. Today there's about $70,000 remaining. My ex has inherited an apartment that she currently rents out, as well as legal ownership of half of her family farm, split with her sister. Now we are separating. She wants me to take half of my inheritance and put it in an investment account trust for my daughter that no one but her can touch and is locked until she turns 18. My plan has always been to take my inheritance and my retirement accounts and keep investing as much as I can, so save as much as I can for my daughter. I don't plan to have any more kids, and I don't have any plans to spend the money. I'd prefer to keep the money under my control and invest it best I can and help my child, rather than sign it over as a trust fund. I'm uncomfortable with handing any 18-year-old a giant check. I remember 18 pretty clearly. Not sure sound financial decisions were even possible for me at that age. I want to take care of my child, of course, but it feels like this is more about control and trust. Like, she doesn't trust me to save money for our daughter, so I have to give my money up, but she's trustworthy so she can keep her inherited wealth in her name. My plan was a counter-proposal where she also signs over half of her inheritance, meaning her apartment and all rental income go into a trust for our child. But even that feels a bit like a silly game of I'll do the bad thing only if you do it too. Should I negotiate this? Does it make good sense for my daughter? Or is this her hurt feelings and knowing she has no legal claim to this money and a way of getting some payback for the breakup? Now, comments. Just tell her I will do with my money what I feel is best for our daughter's future. You can do the same with your money. She doesn't need to know what you're doing financially, as long as your child is being supported. You didn't say how old you are or how secure your retirement is, but there's no way I'd do that, particularly outside a divorce settlement, unless I'm completely financially independent. I'm 50 and I've got $165,000 in a 401k and a good job, so I don't need it. Boo it. It is my money. And I don't want a trust fund, kid. You do need it. Rule of thumb is to have 1x salary in your 401k at 30, 3x at 40, 6x at 50. Make sure that money is invested and used for your retirement. If, by the time your daughter gets to college and you don't need it anymore, that's good, but if you do end up needing it, she can take loans for college but you can't for retirement. I'm a teacher in a dirt cheap area, so I'm already good. Smile. You do understand natural disasters happen? Accidents that might leave one paralyzed, sicknesses. Life is long. You can give it to your daughter once she grows up if you didn't need it until then. I think I'd rather put money in a 529 and encourage us both to add to it. I don't want a trust fund, kid. This has more to do with how the child is raised than the money. True, but isn't sudden riches at 18 a known problem for many? Yes. That's why responsible trust funds put 25 or 30 on them. I've never an 18-year-old with full access to a trust fund that's simply. The beauty of a trust is that you can avoid sudden riches by setting the requirements for getting money. Maybe it's getting a certain amount every year as long as she keeps a certain GPA, or takes a part-time job, or whatever metric you think is reasonable. But keep in mind, trusts will cost you thousands to set up correctly, more if you want a professional fiduciary. Depends on what you mean by riches. $100K in the US will barely pay for college in most places. A $100K budget is plenty if you limit your options to public institutions in your state, I feel like. Also, I believe OP is in Canada. Not if your kid is raised right. Dude, stick to your guns, don't listen to these people. You've got a good head on your shoulders and a good job. I don't even know why your ex is stressing you. You obviously know how to make good decisions. Most of the people on here are just wishing they could be in your financial position. Tell her that you will match what she puts in it. Or you will keep the money in your name until your daughter needs it. It is pretty controlling for your ex to tell you what to do with your inheritance. She doesn't have a vote. You could tell her that you're financial advisor and you have it covered, but you won't be discussing this with her. She can want what she wants, but here's the great thing about inheritance and splitting up. Your inheritance isn't joint property. She can pound sand. Guess what? Any decisions you make in the future have nothing to do with her. If you want to put a 529 plan together for the daughter as part of the divorce decree, fine. But she has zero say in how you choose to fund said divorce decree. Don't let this become a question of assets or inheritance. Don't ask her to sign over half of hers. That's not really a reasonable counter-proposal. That's a tit-for-tat escalation and this stupid. Take a step back and approach this neutrally. Can you agree that you both should be contributing to the child's education or some sort of fund? Great. Then agree on what that looks like and maybe get some advice on how best to set it up. But that has absolutely nothing to do with any inheritance. Money is fungible. Agree to a saving strategy and then you each fund it how you like. Completely agree. Use this as an opportunity to seriously discuss saving for the child's future, rather than trying to force the ex to put up assets as a condition of op doing the same. The ex shouldn't really have to put up anything for op to separately consider putting money away for his child, whether in a trust or in some other middle with. Do not pass go. Sounds like you dodged a bullet with this one. I would be cordial but very direct that escaping her means you get to live your life and plan for your child and your future on your own terms. There's no way to tell how your 3-year-old will deal with having access to a large sum of money 15 years from now. Your money is yours to handle as you choose. It's very bold of your ex to presume otherwise. Why would you need to negotiate with anyone about your money? Do with it what you want. She can't tell you what to do with it. P.S. I agree with you. 18 is too young for mature decisions. And investing it seems like a better idea. I'd say it all depends on how amicable you want this relationship to be. The counter-proposal you mentioned, diplomatically stated, is the amicable solution. The I don't give a fuck solution is to just tell her no, or fuck off. It's your money. She can want you to do this and that with your money until the cows come home, you don't have to do it. She's my child's mom. Nothing matters more to me than my daughter being happy, so I gotta keep it copacetic. If it's freely your daughter's at 18 that's asking for trouble. 18 is easily pressured by family and friends for that money. Get your will in order so she's left with a trust and name a trustee who isn't her mother. I wouldn't necessarily say to put it in a trust now. He wants to retain control of the money, for now. I think he can make arrangements for the money to go into a trust when I don't know the specifics of his available legal options. He should probably do a little research. That's a very reasonable position. Some people don't see things that way when it comes to exes, and sometimes that's not their fault. If the ex is unreasonable and it doesn't necessarily sound like yours is the most reasonable person in the world, at least not when it comes to this relationship, then the fuck off solution can be a lot more appealing and useful. Sometimes it's not worth trying to keep things amicable if the person is just bound and determined to be psycho. But if it's worth trying to keep the relationship diplomatic, then I think you have your answer. Unless it's for education, I don't see why an 18-year-old would need that money. Go ahead and start investing some money on her behalf for education at that age, perhaps housing and wedding later, but to give a no-strings lump sum to a teenager is crazy. Your ex, I assume, is a lot younger than you. She's probably worried that you'll meet someone, die, and leave everything to your wife without helping out with your daughter. I can understand her concern but disagree with her solution.